Locals, YouTube, locals, and Rumble. Hopefully you all get it today. Let's see how it goes while we all wait. Oh, connection locals established. Amen. Let's get this polling started. Let's get a polling. I'm on a polling bender, folks. What can I tell you? Let's get this party started, not this polling started. All right. It's Friday. You're watching Inside the Numbers, episode 487, not the other way around. All right, let's do this. You're watching Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. I'm your host, Rich Barris, the People's Pundit. Okay, what are we going to say about this Bronx rally? Don't forget to like this video, smash the like button. If you like them, share them far and wide. Also, like I said, on a polling bender, share the public polling project. Do what you can. I know that's why we need to share it so we can expand the contributor base. That's always key to a successful crowdfunding project. In 2020, when we were headed into 2020 with the public polling project, people still had money, even after the COVID shutdown. I know you agree with me. It was easier. Things were easier. You had more disposable income. I know. I can see you in the data. I mean, data, that's people. Those are people in those data sets. So I get it. So that's why it's very important that we expand it because I really couldn't help myself. And here's why. And I think I can show you maybe some. I don't know. I don't want to jump the shark here. I want to wait for Robert because we had to do our own thing too. The poll that we did with the 1776 project law center, is going to be featured Monday on its own show. There goes the kid. Hang on one second. Anyway, yeah, unfortunately, I'm here at the end of the school year. My wife's on trips with the kids. She has to go on the stuff with my daughter. So now she went on one with my son. So, yeah, it is what it is. So enjoy the show today. All right, we're going to see meltdowns of epic proportions because he misses his mother. But anyway, there was some things that I wanted to ask in the other one that, I couldn't ask. All right. So, well, it's just a huge survey. It's not that I couldn't. It was a huge survey and some things didn't make the cut. So we wanted to be able to do that in our own. So I pulled the trigger on another one and we needed updated numbers anyway. All right. So let me, first of all, though, I mean, my goodness, which one do I want to play first? There are, look. Is this one the Bronx? It is. Okay. So here is an MSNBC clip that I want to play for you guys from the Bronx. I did just want to go right to the polling, but I can't do that. So let's do Dana Bash, right? Is that her name? Dana Dasher, whatever. MSNBC. Well, let's watch her talk to these voters in the Bronx who she's stunned Trump is appealing to. And it's like all of these people are just now catching on. Whoa. Okay, let me pull it up, play it, and we'll get right.
Big Apple, we are the rotten apple. Biden went on the Charlemagne the God show and said, "You ain't black if you don't vote for him." I'm black because that's how I was born and what I am. And Trump is the man that can save this country. Period.
so interesting to talk to those voters, Anna, and multiple people actually mentioned that Charlemagne the God interview. I did press back with some of those folks, mentioning some of Trump's rhetoric that's been seen as racist and bigoted. They said they don't have a problem with that. They view his actions over his words in terms.
All right. We can't get through the clip without me responding to that. Racist and bigot. White people. All right, this has to be addressed. White, rich, privileged liberals in media who don't live with these people, who don't go to the neighborhoods with these people, they're not in the communities with these people, they don't share the same problems as these people, they don't share the same dreams as these people. That's what a nation is, folks. I mean, and Benedict Anderson, all of these people, I strongly see, we got to read this in book club one day. Shared glory, shared pain, shared experiences. It's more than just borders, a language, a culture. That's what makes up a nation. These people think they speak for black and brown people in this country. Look at how white this woman is. Look at how snobby and white this woman is. And she thinks that she can be the voice of them more than she knows better than a black person what it is to be black in the United States of America. She knows better than a Hispanic person what it is to be Hispanic in the United States of America. Who the hell does this woman think she is? But this is what we deal with in the media. This is how self-absorbed, this is how, bubble life. It's bubble life. Remember Tupac used to say thug life, right? This is bubble life. Look at her. Look at her smug face. What the hell does she know about what it means to be black or brown? She is lying. Here's the hardest part about this, the worst part about this. She is lying, has been lying. Her friends have been lying. Her colleagues have been lying to American voters in this country for 6 years plus over Donald Trump. And she thinks that she got over on that. And now that she's not got over, it's like, oh, I can't explain why these people are so stupid to still support Donald Trump.
Terms of what they feel he can do for their community. Again, the economy, those pocketbook issues over and over again, top of the list. It's important to hear.
Worry you at all?
No, at all. I think he's going to be elected the president because everyone still wants him as the president. So to me, it doesn't matter.
Biden, they have disrespected the people of the city of New York.
So I'm muted. There it is. Disrespected the people of the city of New York. Nothing he said went into her ears. Nothing. It's almost like in one ear and out the other. They have been ignoring grievances. First, it was in 2016, it was just the white working class. And because they were losing them after Barack Obama, they just thought, who cares? The hell with them. We'll just use black and brown people and rich white liberals like us to win, to put together electoral coalitions that win. Now these people have grievances too. And their plan is to what? Treat them like they treated the white working class? You're just too stupid to understand how good you have it? This is what they plan to do? Look, I'm going to pull something up here in a second too. It's because it's so much where there are overlapping demographics here for sure. But over the last, year, folks? I mean, more than that, really now, right? We've been talking about how Trump has done better with non-whites. We've been talking about how Trump has done better with younger voters. He's outperforming Republicans. Although in this latest poll we're doing, it does look like Republicans are doing somewhat better. They're still running behind Trump, but they have a lower share of the vote. And their margin isn't as strong. And part of that, you would think as well, it's Biden. It's specifically related to Biden. That's why Trump does better with him. That's not the full gist of it. Because you can go through it and you can see 18 to 29-year-old voters. They're not as strong. They're Republicans are doing better with them than they typically do. But they're, it's marginal. It's not Trump-like changes. And then you have obviously the non-white vote. And it's like, yeah, I guess they're doing better. But it's not Trump-like changes. So there's something else going on here. And for more than a year, we've been talking about this. And now it's become like a headline for everybody. Now it's become almost common knowledge for everyone. As if we still, because Laura was like, before Laura left, she was like, dude, do the victory dance. And she knows, I honestly don't like to do that. I really don't. But after what, more than a year of listening to these very same people now who are pretending as if it's just common knowledge and conventional wisdom, right? They weren't saying that, more than a year ago when we started really identifying these trends. They weren't saying that, were they? Absolutely being pricks. So I'm not going to dance on their graves or anything, but they are way, way behind. Way behind. All right. Hey, Roro, why don't you come in here and say hello? Instead of having your little meltdown over here. You want to come here and say hello? Yeah, you do. Roro likes the camera. All right, look, somebody had I didn't get her permission to show her, but somebody had tagged me this and said, this is something obviously Tony Boner from Target Fart, that's what we call him. He's a liberal, right? So when he puts something out like this, he is trying to give Democrats advice, and he himself is nervous over what he sees and he wants Democrats to pay attention. Right. So I didn't get that person's okay to share this because they had tagged me. But let's put up what she was talking about. Here's yet another thing that honestly I have to say something about. And hold on, let me just make sure my son's cool. Hang on. Come here, buddy. Come over here. You could do the tablet over here. You could draw over here. Come on. Come on. Daddy wants you. Daddy's viewers want you. Come here, buddy. There's no reason to cry. Come here. Look, Daddy fixed it. Oh, though I will tell you, this time you did it good. Okay, wait until Daddy's done. Okay, and you do that until Daddy's done, and I'll get it. I'll get it for you. I'll open it up. Okay. All right, good boy. Just chill. Do me a favor. Watch something where you can learn to draw, and then you can draw Daddy something later. Okay. Maybe I'll even get you like, what are those things? Those erasable paint things, right? Cool. Deal. All right. So another thing, obviously, is the youth vote. And couple that with what we talked about with voter registration changes in the state of Pennsylvania. Okay. Tony Boner was having a bit of a meltdown. He says, a bit of a cautionary flag for Dems. I just found in PA voter registration data. He just found it. All right. Looking at new registrants by age, there is a youth surge, which we generally would think to be positive for Dems. But looking at partisanship, the surge is overwhelmingly Republicans. All right. Well, you mean Republicans are overwhelmingly responsible for the surge, or you would say the surge is overwhelmingly Republican. I mean, God, where do these people go to school? Their grammar is awful. Plural is are, singular is. Okay. Anyway, when auto voter registration was enacted, people on the right had a meltdown. And I tried to explain to people that even among age, you could see it with, obviously they do, the unregistered vote skews working old, prime working age and older, but even those younger voters were not rich targets for Democrats. They weren't. They just simply were not. There are other attributes that are attached to them in the machine learning model that tell us that if they were registered to vote, they would likely be Republican. How much? We're talking about greater than 50% chance with some of these groups. And we're also talking more. We could go as high as 70%, 75% or greater certainty. So huge, just absolutely a wealth of opportunity. That's what that population represented. And age really didn't have a dramatic impact on whether or not somebody who would register or be forced to register, would be any different because they were younger than the group overall. Now, I don't want to take away anything from the efforts of people like Scott Pressler and others. I mean, Republicans should wish they have a million Scotts out there because, the Roro the Conqueror, he is cute, but he's, look, his mommy is gone and it takes a couple of hours for him to adjust. I mean, that's the way he's 4. What are you going to do? But yeah, getting back to it, I don't want to take anything away from people like, and you can see there he is right there. Did you say Pennsylvania? My heart. That's Scott Pressler on Twitter, the persister. All right. I don't want to take any away from him because he works his butt off. And it's only recently in which he started to get the recognition that I really do believe he deserves. If there were more, I would say, Scott Presslers who make this thing more personal than other Republican efforts have in the past. What do I mean by that? Republicans have been like rather cold when it comes to how they do this stuff, and they don't even really do it. Voter registration drives, community outreach. I don't really care what they call these programs that you hear about or you heard about under Rona. It is not what you would see with Democrats. You know, I at this whole show I just did with Jack Posobiec not long ago on Human Events, and we talked about how Democrats, I remember in Florida, barbecues, the nail salons, the hair salons, the this, the that, the churches, right? They were immersed in the community, and it made a huge difference. Well, Republicans were never really good at getting these people, you know, that this is a new, they were never good at that tact. And they never really, I don't want to say they were never good at it. They didn't do it. They didn't do these things. And now auto voter registration is kind of forcing some people onto the voter rolls. Whether that forces them into the electorate is another story altogether. And we need to be clear about that. Just because these people are registering to vote does not mean Republicans will be successful at getting them to vote. Now, when we research these people, and you're going to see this in the poll, you're going to see it. There's one question we asked that's a huge, huge indicator of what I'm going to say. What I'm going to say is true. These voters, these low prop to no prop voters, and we're really talking about no props, there really is only one person who can get them to vote. And this goes back to the argument that we were having during the primaries. The difference between Trump's support against Biden versus everyone else's was very, very confusing and even misleading when you would look at polls like the Mark Kett poll. What was it? The Wall Street Journal poll that Nikki Haley touted, even though it was like 4 months old. She touted it for months and months and months. They were not doing what we were doing, which was asking voters, listen, but if this person or that person is not the nominee, will you even vote? And Trump overwhelmingly was the only one who brought the low to no prop voter into the electorate. And when it comes to the no prop, it's going to be a Herculean-like task. It really is. But there's only one person they tell us could do it, could motivate them, and that is Donald Trump. And by the way, just keep that in mind when we go and look at a question we're going to look at eventually. Monday will be the show to talk about the Law Center poll. I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple of things that we found in our separate, because one major difference between that poll and the one we did is that we wanted the head-to-head with Biden as well, without a generic someone else or without a third-party candidate. I'm still personally not convinced that Kennedy and others like West, maybe even Mapstead at this point, but we'll see. Obviously, the libertarians have infrastructure, they have organization, they have experience, but we'll see. They did very poorly in 2000, and that's going to hurt them with some of the rules in the other states. But I'm not convinced that they're going to be as big of an impact as the polling suggests they could be. And the reason is simple. They just don't have ballot access is tough. And Kennedy is claiming to have access in so many of these other states. But in truth, there's only really three now, where he is on, like you could safely assume he will be on the ballot. The others are just that, they're claims. And if Biden decides and Democrats decide that he's a problem for them, all right, if they start to believe some of these polls that show that he is a problem, if that's the case, they will challenge those signatures. They will sue folks. They will do what they did to others in 2020, and they were very successful, even when it came to the Green Party and the Libertarian Party. They successfully removed them and other independents off many state ballots across the country. So I want still, for now, a head-to-head to see where, if you twisted someone's arm, where would they go? Well, we can do the thought exercises with other people, and that's great. But typically, the appetite for a third party will shrink. And I want to know, when it does, where are those people going to go? And then, honestly, one of the questions that Robert had suggested, which was about whether or not, whether you say you're voting for someone or not, would you vote for that person, is a very illuminating question, because it tells you maybe some people keep telling you they're undecided, but are they really? And then we can cross and nest them with those people who are undecided, yet who say, I'm only considering and would only vote for Donald Trump. I'm only considering and would only vote for Joe Biden. Unfortunately for Joe Biden, that question is really bad for him right now. He's got to change that or he will lose. And what do I mean? I mean, and you're going to see it, the percentage of people who say that they would consider voting for Joe Biden or they are voting for Joe Biden is far lower than those who say they will never vote for Joe Biden. And that is a major problem, especially if you're an incumbent, because everybody knows everything about you. And just to give you a little bit of a sneak, peek, it's only really good for one candidate, that metric. Again, with universal name ID. So Joe Biden's got to fix this or he's going down. And honestly, he may go down pretty hard. All right, moving on in Pennsylvania here. This is the other chart. There's the timeline. And obviously, you can clearly see what's going on here. This is a major problem for Democrats, okay? So they are way, way below. And again, if you go back and put those charts together, then you'll understand what Tom Boner's trying to say here. Tony Boner, all right. So let's get that. I just wanted to bring that up and do a little bit of a dance, a little bit of a lap. Like, hey, I told you. And there were these like beggars and hangers-ons. All right. You guys know that expression? You know what a beggar and a hanger-on is? All right. I look at a lot of these social media influencers as beggars and hangers-ons. All right. It's like they were total schmucks because they hitched their cart to a horse. That horse lost. Right. And then they were not very sportsmanlike about it, or they were not even gentlemanlike about it or classy about it. And now, all of a sudden, they want to try to add to your analysis as if like they had a grip on this all along or something. I'm not for letting people like that get off the hook. I'm just not. So I'm going to remind everybody that there really were very few of us who was trying to say the grifter thing, man, is like so overused. I just saw grifter in the corner of my eye. I mean, that's the word many of them used, right? All through the primary season, right? Oh, he's a grifter. Oh, this one's a grifter. That one's a grifter. And of course, referring to the people who are actually telling the truth. So I don't want to use their word. I would, and then not all of them. I'm specifically focusing in on these people because they really are beggars and hangers-on. So they now need they need you to an extent, and they need people like me and a few others to extend an olive branch to them because they just look so stupid right now. And if they don't come on board, like just a few weeks, folks, not weeks. It was when we did our last poll in Florida. One of them specifically, right? A culter fanatic. All right. When I tweeted about Trump's support among blacks in Florida, and then the difference between the percentage of black voters who identified, not registered, identified as Republican compared to 2020 had significantly changed. Now, is it a majority? Of course not. It's not the point. But going from like 4% to like 2 and 10 is a big deal, even if subgroups for sampling errors are higher, and you end up on the low end of that sampling on that confidence interval. So even if it's not 20, it's 15. Well, big deal. It's still quadrupled or more than quadrupled since the last presidential election. There are people who just attacked me over that. Not what was it? 3 months ago we did that poll, who now are acting as if it's common knowledge. It's incredible. Incredible. All right. So there's one poll I want to bring up, a national poll, because I think that very much in line or close to what we're going to find with our head-to-head, or not. I already know what the numbers are, right? I'm trying to be like, I'm trying not to jump the shark here, but jump the gun, really, is the thing. But I do want to give you guys an idea of what we have seen. So this is Real Clear Politics. This is the latest polls page. Again, you have some blue here, but when you take a deeper look at it, it's not good at all. Okay. You have let's look at the University of New Hampshire polling first, because frankly, this is worse. This is worse for Biden. New Hampshire, where this poll, I think, was Biden plus 13. Oh, yeah, buddy? I think this poll was Biden plus 13 in New Hampshire. This is now the second poll that has found New Hampshire in low single digits. If you're Joe Biden, you got to be a little bit worried about this. By the way, this is the same state where everyone said, oh my God, look at those Haley voters. Oh my God, Donald Trump can't win without bringing these people on board. Look at that. It's only Biden plus 3. That's it. And by the way, that's a state where it's kind of relatively easier than other states to get on the ballot. Even when it's just head-to-head, we're still talking about Biden plus 4. The only good news for Biden is that head-to-head he is above 50. The bad news is this poll also had Hillary Clinton above 50. And Hillary Clinton was ahead by about 3 times the margin that they're finding for Biden right now. What happened? She eked it out by a few hundred votes. I just want to play this video to remind everybody all of the stupid conversations, all of the stupid hot takes, there's such hot takes, right? Everybody who got duped by those morons, the people who voted in that primary were not Republican voters. Again, cut 1.
Christian, who did you vote for and why?
Yeah, so thank you. I voted for Nikki Haley, and it was certainly a strategic vote. I think the DNC is fairly resolute in their nomination for Joe Biden. And while I wouldn't vote for her in a general election, particularly on our differences with climate change solution, a women's right to bodily autonomy, or incarceration rates, I think a vote for Nikki Haley helps diminish Trump's influence in the RNC and their nomination, but is also a vote towards democracy.
And Christian is emblematic of so many conversations that I've had here throughout the day. Rachel?
Alex, Christian, thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's good to have that perspective.
And Christian is emblematic of so many voters that we have talked to today. Although I would not vote for her in a general election, a vote for Nikki Haley is a vote to diminish Donald Trump's influence over the RNC and their nominating process. That particular township was one of the ones that we zeroed in on hard to try to explain to people what was going on in the resistance primary votes. Here's another one, just in case we all forgot already.
Nikki Haley.
And why did you vote for Nikki Haley?
It's a vote against Trump. I think it would be better to have her against Biden in the elections than it would be Trump and her.
Do you consider yourself generally independent, Republican, or Democrat?
Democrat.
So when you undeclared, you voted for Nikki Haley. If it was Nikki Haley against Joe Biden in a general election, who are you voting for?
Joe Biden.
What is the...
And there you have it. Okay. If there was a general election, who are you voting for? Joe Biden. So it's not like Donald Trump could ever have won those people over anyway. It was never going to happen. Never going to happen. All right. But here we are. So these polls could never be this tight. Okay, folks, where I'm going with this, these polls could never be this tight in a state like New Hampshire if anything those people said were true. You could see in the corner there that Democrats are still ahead marginally on the generic ballot, 0.5%. Looks like a very close House vote race. And considering Republicans do not have a solid majority, that's still not a great result for Republicans. I will say this, though. We asked a generic ballot in both polls that we did this week. And in both polls, even though they were staggered, Republicans did improve their standing. Again, still below Trump, still lagging Trump, but they did improve their standing. They better hope they expand it a little bit, more like the Rasmussen margin that you can see there, because if they don't, it's not going to be enough. All right. We saw them win the popular vote by over 2%. And the way that Democrats gerrymandered the map were very successful because Chris Christie is a fat, useless pig who can't do anything right. You can't pick an administration without lobbyists, which is why he got sidelined by Trump in the first place and why he hates Donald Trump now. He can't even oversee a redistricting project because he's an idiot. The only thing he can do is bribe and bully his way into re-election in New Jersey. And no, look, I don't even fault him for it. That's the only way to win in New Jersey. But there we have it. When we come back from this real quick break, we will go a little bit more into detail about the latest national poll that's up there. All right. Well, we need to have a word from our sponsors real quick. And on the top of the hour, I'm going to have to deal with my son, get him something that'll be his time. Like he needs a new eat and drink, so bear with me. I'll play something and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. But before we do that, let's take a break and talk to you about our friends at Freedom Gold, because with everything that's happening in the world right now, it is obviously no surprise that people are looking for safer places, or I would even say just different places, diversification to put their money. Stocks are unpredictable, and let's face it, inflation has a huge impact on the value of currency. And that's why I want to talk to you about Freedom Gold USA. If you've ever thought about investing in gold or silver, or again, you're just interested in diversifying your portfolio, then Freedom Gold USA is definitely the company you should check out. And what I like about them is that they're really just all about helping you make smart investment choices in precious metals. They believe that the more you know, the better, so they can offer you this advice with free investment guides, consultation, just so they can give you the information that you need to make confident decisions. And there's no pressure and no hard sell. That's one thing that's different. But another is they guarantee competitive pricing on some of the best quality gold and silver you will find. You know you're getting a solid deal. You don't have to worry about extra fees. They offer free shipping and insurance. That's just fantastic on all orders. Plus, you even get some free silver on qualifying purchases. They'll give you a $500 credit toward opening a gold or silver IRA. Folks, that's a nice little kick and bonus, right? And here's the best part. Freedom Gold, when you deal with them, it is simple. It is hassle-free. You will not get any pushy sales tactics. They're just about helping you reach your financial goals in a way that works for you, and hopefully everyone can benefit. So if you want to learn more, I would recommend giving Freedom Gold USA a call at the numbers on the screen. It's also in the video below, the description to the video below. 888-279-3592. 888-279-3592. Tell them the People's Pundit sent you. Or you can check out the website they gave to us, which is freedomgoldusa.com/rich. My name, freedomgoldusa.com/rich. Find out about all the latest special offers they got. See what kind of deals you may qualify for. Let me just give you that number again one more time. 888-279-3592. 888-279-3592. And the website, freedomgoldusa.com/rich. Don't wait. Give them a call today. Go ahead and work towards securing your financial future. All right. All right, so I'm going to overlap this page actually right here. Let's just, before we go to the other one, let's take a look at the national average, and let's take a look at what we're seeing when we look at the national average. All right. There are, I would say, the Biden-friendly round of polls that had come out that makes it look like a surge, when in truth, they're all kind of outliers from the general consensus. How do we know? Because there's more red than there is blue. That's that's an easy way to look at it. We can also look at the trend and see, look, folks, Joe Biden has not led consistently for a year. Going on now, a year. And there was one day where he led for one single day on October 18, 2023, because of it is more of a cycle of polls than it is really a shift in public opinion. You can very clearly see that Donald Trump has held a lead now for the better part of a year, and it has widened or narrowed with the polling cycle. But it is what it is, all right? So we still have Trump up here now. It's expanding. And this is what the really topic of the show is today. The polls really, even though they look still like it's a close race, they're getting worse for Joe Biden. They really are. There are hardened feelings. Whoops, I thought the light was going over. There are feelings that are beginning to harden. And there are so many people out there you'll hear say, you know what, though, it's still early. So Biden's got time to turn it around. Look at what Obama did. Obama was never down like this. That's number one. Number two, Obama's presidential approval rating was never this low. It was never this bad. Number three, we're getting to the point where to claim that it's too early to be predictive is nonsense. All right. There is the Michael Dukakis example. Even by this point now in the cycle, we're moving into the summer. Even by this point, you could start to see volatility in the race when it came to that election. Then by Labor Day, George Bush just blows the lead open and he goes on to win more than 400 electoral votes. But at one point early, Michael Dukakis had led by 16. And if you guys remember, there was the Gary Hart situation. I mean, he was favored back then, favored before he got caught with his pants down, you know. Great movie on that, by the way. Hugh Jackman plays Gary Hart. It is called The Front Runner, and it is definitely a movie to check out. And you will actually see how local news media drug the Washington Post, drug all the net, because this has been going on for a long time, this crap, the media. They drug the Washington Post, they drug the New York Times, they made them do their job. The Miami Herald, a small newspaper who wanted the scoop, who was willing to look into something, Gary Hart challenged them. If you don't believe me, follow me around, right? And the Miami Herald said, okay. They got a tip. My friend is sleeping with Gary Hart. Can I get money for it? You know, whatever. And they did their job while the Washington Post ignored it wholeheartedly. In fact, it wasn't until the Washington Post got a second, it was like a dossier mailed to them, dropped off anonymously. And this was after they already knew about the first woman and the first allegation. So why am I bringing all of this up? They were going to cover for the Democratic frontrunner because he had such a big lead and an early lead in the polls, not just for the Democratic nomination, but he was favored and likely to, but it was believed that he was likely to beat George Herbert Walker Bush. That didn't happen. You got the consolation prize of Michael Dukakis. He had a lead that was kind of like a nostalgia lead, you know, and that evaporated after a while. That's an example of, you know, late minute polls moving. The modern era, we don't have that much of. George Bush led John Kerry for most of the time. Al Gore versus George Bush in 2000 was always a fairly close race. And you were talking about another term for the incumbency. It was tough. It was really tough, which is always difficult for a party to win a third term. Herbert Walker Bush did so because Ronald Reagan saved his ass. I mean, Dukakis probably, if it wasn't for those late attack ads with the Willie Horton stuff, Ronald Reagan and Gary Hart going down, Herbert Walker Bush likely would not have been president. The environment did not favor him initially. And so there's other alternative explanations, right? What we know now from the research is that in truth, most people do make up their minds early. And then even if they tell the pollster they're undecided or they shift back and forth, they'll later justify their decision that they really made, even if it was subconsciously way, 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 way long ago. That's what the data really shows. So this idea that we got, and by the way, 16, that's an example. Well, it's early. I mean, it really depends who you look at. In our polling, Trump always led Hillary more. I mean, it's just true. She had edges that she lost down the road, but they were never huge. Wisconsin, Michigan, you go back and look at our polling. I mean, their biggest lead in some of those states was like 2 points. Polls were wrong. Well, most polls were wrong. So it's not as clear as it may seem. And we're getting a little late in the process for people to say, well, it's still early. It is, but it's late in that early stage. All right. And we can see what's the difference here. For the last year, people have told us Donald Trump was a better president. Over the last year, people have told us they trust Donald Trump more on inflation. That's one of the top issues. They've told us they trust Donald Trump more on immigration. That's one of the top issues. They trust Trump more on job creation and the economy overall. That's one of their top issues. Some issues that are usually of Democratic dominance are gone. I mean, their advantage, Biden's advantage, is gone. It's evaporated. Protecting democracy. It went from being about J6 to being about political prosecutions of your opponents, your presidential opponent. So, I just don't know. In 5.5 months, less now, 5 months plus, what do they intend to do? The only thing they can do is beat Republicans in the turnout game. That's it. All right. So here, let me bring it back up. And then we're going to go look at this latest poll because I'm going to read some quotes from the pollster. And that's what you see right there. This is a poll that reflects what I would call defendable swings from 1 month to another. What do I mean by that? So in some months when it looked like Joe Biden was doing a little bit better, maybe they even had Biden up by 1. Maybe it was tied. But for the most part, if you look at their trend line, Trump has led Biden more than Biden has led him. All right. So I think Emerson is a good consensus poll right now. All right. Right now, cookie, I guess I don't want to say, let's just ignore the cookies. All right. So May 2024 national poll, Trump 46, Biden 44. All right. And by the way, when we lean people, we continue to see Biden doing a little bit better with the leaners. The problem is it's just not enough. He can't make up the ground. The May 2024 Emerson College polling national survey of U.S. voters finds 46% support former President Donald Trump and 44% support Joe Biden. 10% are undecided. When undecided voters are leaned, the race is split evenly, 50-50. We're going to be, I'll just tell you right now, we're going to be a little bit on the head-to-head. We're going to be a little bit more favorable to Trump than that. And the reason is very simple. I think we're right. And I think that these things are marginal. But when you look back at our 2020 vote, let me read you what our 2020 vote is. All right. Thinking back to the 2020 presidential election, for whom did you vote? All right. Joe Biden, 50.1. Donald Trump, 46.3. Joe Jorgensen, 1.5. And then someone else, 2.2. So the difference between Joe Biden's vote in our poll, retrospective vote, and the actual vote margin from 2020 is almost all accounted for people who are not admitting they voted for Joe Biden, but they did vote for Joe Biden. Almost all of it. A small chunk of that goes to Donald Trump. They are Trump voters profile. They are 2020 Trump voters. But we're talking about a huge split toward Biden. So what do I mean by that? I mean that less than a point of that, less than like a half a point of the 2.2 is for Trump voters. Less than 1%. It's actually like just under a half a point. The rest are Biden voters who don't want to admit that they voted for Joe Biden. But overall, the margin, the spread, is almost identical to the 2020 spread. When we look at the vote, how did you vote in 2020 versus how you would vote now? What it's telling us is we're right on the money. I mean, we are dead on the money. So we believe them. We believe the people who are telling us that they voted for Biden in 2020 and they're going to vote now. There's also probably a little bit of a difference between us and Emerson on who we think is going to vote. I am more open to the idea. Let me put it this way. I'm more open, I think, than other pollsters to the idea that some of these unlikely or low prop, even no prop voters are going to vote. Do I think Republicans are on track to getting everyone they should be able to get? I do not. But I still think they're in a better shape than some pollsters might be giving them credit for. All right. So just to give me 1 second. We'll go over the where are you? Trump v. Biden with leaners. Again, bear with me 1 second. There it is. Without the leaners, I'm trying to give you an idea of the crossover here between the 2020 vote and now. Let me go to that on the column. I'm going to give you this number right now. And this is for the head-to-head, not any other way around. All right. All right. So it would appear that Donald Trump is getting twice as many people who voted for Biden than Biden is getting from Trump. Okay. So of the, what is that, 60 plus, of about 100 interviews of people just between the two party vote that change their minds. All right. Biden is getting about 30. He's getting a little over. Trump is getting about 70. So it's a little bit more than a 2-to-1 split. All right. So it favoring Trump. So it's a huge deal. Huge deal. That's a massive amount of votes. And that doesn't account for people who are going to be new voters that we do believe will enter the electorate. The I have never vote. Let me see real quick. I did not vote in 2020 is Trump plus 10. The I voted in 2020 is Trump plus 1. The I did not vote in 2020 is Trump plus 10. So there's, yeah, that you can see the difference there between the Emerson College poll, which is like if they didn't have as many new entrants as we did, they'd be right on the money. It'd be pretty close. And by the way, a tie in the popular vote, even if Emerson is right and we're a little bit too bullish on Trump, a tie on the popular vote is a defeat for Joe Biden. And by the way, not a small one. All right. So Spencer Kimball, the executive director of Emerson College, said, voters under 30 break for Biden by 15 points with a quarter undecided. When these undecideds are pushed, they break by 23, 63 to 37, which is reflective of his margin with that group in 2020. That's not quite where we have it, although we do have it with Joe Biden winning that group. It's just it's not the win he normally has. We only have it by 11. Actually, no, sorry. It's 10. And then Trump is literally winning every other group, including 30 to 44, 45 to 64, and 65 plus is really close. But so that's where it's at. Hold on one sec. You okay, buddy? Yes. Okay. Remember, don't get upset. Remember, ask Daddy for help, and I will help you. I will stop what I'm doing. Okay? That's right. Because you got to go to school next year, buddy. And you can't be, you got to learn. All right. All right. New voters, those who did not vote in 2020, break for Trump 35 to 24 with 41% undecided. And by the way, when you break them, the margin doesn't change. So that's very close to our margin. I will say this, though. Ours is a little bit higher. They're not that undecided in our poll. They're undecided more than anybody else, but they're not as undecided as they are in Emerson. And they're a little bit higher for Trump than they are in Emerson. Same thing with Biden. Biden's vote share is a little bit higher. It's 10 points, but they're both a little bit higher. Very clearly, he does. It's just that they are using a more traditional likely voter screen, whereas we are really, I'm believing them, I guess is where I'm saying. Like, with the traditional screen, a lot of them, if not most of them, would have to be screened out. And you will see most pollsters will do that, folks. They're going to do that. I'm not. Am I believing everybody? No. There are other factors that we do, and that's up to the secret sauce. And everyone else who's a pollster listens to the show is not going to get that secret sauce. So they're just going to have to figure it out on their own. But I will say, I am believing them more. I do think this will be, relatively, historically speaking, a higher than usual low prop turnout. Okay. All right. Hang on one second. Let me help. Bring it to me. Bring it to Daddy. Bring it to Daddy. There's no reason to cry over it. We don't cry. Okay. Won't go back. Look at how many tabs you have up. Okay. You have so many tabs. You got to get rid of them. Get rid of them. Just get rid of them and find the thing somewhere else. Look at that. See, it's black. You see that? You know why it's black? It's bogged down. So it won't work and it won't load because there are too many tabs up. You see that? Let's get rid of that. You don't need that. That's mommy's hotel stuff. Get rid of that. Let's see. Get rid of what says can't open. It can't open. Okay, so we're going to get rid of it. Okay? Get rid of whatever you don't need. All right? Get rid of that. What's that? You don't need that. Maybe you do want this. Look at how many stuff you have. Get rid of them. Do you know how to do it? You see the X's? On tabs you don't need, get rid of them and then go back and see if it'll work. Okay? You got to get rid of all that stuff. You see how many tabs Daddy has up? Yeah, and sometimes I have too much and it freezes my video and then nobody can hear me. So I got to get rid of them. And when I get rid of them, it comes back. Okay? Get rid of them. X out the ones you don't need. Go through each tab and X out the ones you don't need. Then come back and talk to me, okay? Get the pillow. It's more comfortable. Anyway, with third-party candidates included on the ballot test, Trump support decreases by 2 points from 46 to 44, and Biden's 5 from 44 to 39. 6% support Robert F. Kennedy Jr., 1% support Cornel West, and Jill Stein, respectively. 10% are undecided. All right, he's got Robert Kennedy Jr. at 6%, lower than some others. We certainly have him lower than some others and always have. I will say this, though. Cornel West, he has no organization. He has no infrastructure. And it is not just one poll. In now multiple polls that we have conducted, including the last two, you're going to see soon. Cornel West actually has an opportunity to do better than almost every other third-party candidate, except for Robert Kennedy. Now, that's a problem for Joe Biden. Because there are, of course, I could find you some obscure demographic of a Trump voter, a likely Trump voter, who would vote for Cornel West instead. That's statistics. That's how it works. But you're not going to see that in large numbers. Biden is going to suffer from West. The good news for Biden is that he won't be on the ballot. I mean, we're all polling them, but it will be incredibly difficult for him to be on that ballot. All right. I am highly skeptical. All right. So, and then 10% are undecided. It says since last month, junior support has decreased from 8% to 6%. President Biden's approval rating is 37%. His disapproval rating is 52%. We still continue to have a higher approval rating for Biden than many other polls. And there's a reason for that. I just don't think it's so incredibly difficult, folks, to drive a president into the 30s and then keep them at a number like 37%. That's just our country. That's where we are right now. All right. Don't you like those birdies? It sounds like birds. Anyway, majority of voters say Donald Trump receiving a guilty verdict in the New York criminal trial would not impact their vote, while 25% would say make him less likely and 23% more likely. In other words, this is baked into the cake and nobody gives a damn. Nobody cares. A majority to 75% say it will not matter at all or make it more likely that they will vote for Donald Trump. This is a major backfire. Major backfire. And I'm telling you, people, we talked to them about this. They expect Donald Trump to be guilty of something. Not that he is. They just expect that he will be found guilty of something. And by the way, where does this really help with the voters you saw in the Bronx yesterday? I'm telling you, it does. All right. Democrat and Republican primary and caucus voters were asked if they think their party should nominate Joe Biden and Donald Trump respectfully at their party nominations this summer. 68% think that they should nominate Joe Biden. 24% think they should nominate someone else. However, folks, look at the number compared to Biden. The Republicans are behind. Listen, 8 in 10 in statistics. That's huge. The goal of a presidential candidate is to get to 90% of your base, 90% of your party backing you. That's the goal. And more than that, great. It's like icing on the cake, but you got to get to 90. Who do you think is the best chance of getting to 90%? All right. And I'm out of curiosity. I didn't really even look at when it comes to the head-to-head, I guess I just didn't care that much. I was looking at some of the other demographics that mattered more to me, but I did not look and see what we were looking at here. Oh, yeah, Donald Trump's base is far more secure than Joe Biden's. It's not even close, in fact. It is not even close. Even in the three-way, Donald Trump is getting a significantly... His base is more behind him. That's really what I'm coming down. That's really what it comes down to. Why did I knock out that single? Oh, because it's over here. I got the crosstabs up twice. Get rid of that one so it doesn't come back and confuse me. Let me go to party here then. And then, we also started with the poll. We also started with the populism index. I'm a little bit surprised by the results. You can't wait to show them to you. All right. Yeah, big difference. Almost 10 points. The difference between consolidation of each other's base is almost 10 points. Well, without leaners, I guess that would be the better way. It's actually closer to, without leaners, it's 4. But you have Trump like way closer to 9 and 10. And that's with the undecideds being huge. It's almost 15% undecided when you just initially ask, who are you going to vote for? All right. And then when you lean them, it's big. It's a big deal. Okay. Moving on, because it's 12:57. All right. So obviously Trump he's in a much stronger position with his own party. 42% of voters think the 2 scheduled debates between Biden and Trump are sufficient, while 41% think that there should be more debates and 17% think there should be fewer debates. The economy is the most important issue in the Emerson poll, followed by immigration, then threats to democracy, healthcare, abortion access, crime, affordable housing at 6%. We didn't ask. We always do inflation, cost of living, in which housing and other shelter issues are included. So we don't separate that out unless we specifically ask about the CPI. So among those who say cost of living and inflation is their number one issue, we then follow up with, logic, whatever it may be. We follow up with just those people and say, well, what specifically? And then we give them the CPI indicators, whether it's food, energy, automobiles, housing, utilities, or shelter, utilities. And then we'll see from there what people's specific problem is. But all right. So respondents who said immigration is their top issue dropped 4 points since April. That's something to keep an eye on. And respondents who said the threats to democracy was their number one issue rose 3 points. All right. So this one was conducted. Hold on one second. As I suspected. Hold on one second. Okay. For some reason that I really cannot explain to you, and maybe Spencer would be so kind as to come on and explain it. Post-nomination. For some reason, Emerson College thought it was a good idea, okay, to look, this is a great company. We use them. They are our partner. They are where our database is built, all right? If you're pulling voter records, validated voter records, there's just no better place, all right? However, and then they are using an online panel provided by Cint. Cint acquired the best panel out there, and I am not afraid to say it. I am not. Listen, we work together. They're also one of our partners, and I'm telling you, you may have heard that name before in the past, but the company Cint, which is where I originated from, acquired a company called Lucid Holdings. All right. Lucid, when we run all of these, they're diagnostics. How strong is the panel? How solid is the panel? There are all these metrics we run to see who has the best panels in the industry. Panels like Ipsos and stuff, folks, they suck. Okay. YouGov is now getting responses from these people. All right. Cint has acquired Lucid, which was the best panel. It had the highest scoring results out of all of the metrics that we all use in the industry to gauge quality of online panels. Okay. So Emerson went to Aristotle and said, we need phone numbers for the interactive voice response part of this poll. That is IVR. robocalls. It's pre-recorded. There's what's called a IVR an IVR file. It's .IVR. It looks like a sideways Christmas tree when you look at how things are asked with branching and everything. It's a pain in the butt to build. You will only reach a certain group of people. So, and by that I mean older, more traditional Republicans. You're going to reach, and you're not going to have a very good time reaching young people. You cannot call cell phones. All right. It's illegal. You can't. So, yeah, unless you want to, he's so funny. Unless you want a huge fine, if you want to do it, fine, but you will be fined for it. And so they went to the validated voter vendor. They got that. That's fine. That's fine. Then in order to balance out the fact that they know they're only going to reach certain people with IVR, they went to Cint and they got an online panel. And they're saying it was done in English. This is different than the last few Emerson polls that you have seen. For some reason, some point after the parties' nomination processes and Trump and Biden both secured the nominations of their respective parties, for some reason, they were also going to the same validated voter vendor who also, because we have it too, we have the consumer database layered upon the voter database, layered upon the donor database, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This way we can cross it. Everyone's got the same API key. Every record, hundreds of millions of them have they're not the same, but I mean, across each database, they have the same API key. That's how we identify the record as being the same in the voter file, the same in the consumer file, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. It is not standard practice to go to the consumer file, pull emails, unsolicitedly send to those emails when you could, in fact, just use Aristotle to voter validate the panel from Cint. That is the gold standard way of doing things. It's very simple. It's more costly. So the only thing I could speculate at the time is that maybe Emerson was trying to save some money and they did that, but there was no reason to do it. It's not a very good way to do things. You can't validate whether they're voters or they're not voters. And rest assured, they started to get crazy results. So if we go back and you can see the period where it looked like Joe Biden was tightening the race, okay, and he was doing better. It wasn't really the case. And by the way, this is without leaners. If you did it with leaners, Joe Biden led in 2 of those polls. It was the case that they changed how they did things. And they, in fact, just used a consumer file. Weird. I don't know why they did it. I mean, Spencer's not someone who likes to put his thumb on the scale. He's not. In fact, believe me, he's not. You can see interviews with him on RCP. Credible guy, professional. He's a professional. I don't know. Maybe they were just trying to save money. But either way, now they're back to pulling that online sample to make sure that their overall sample is representative because they know they can't reach certain people with IVR. They're back to just going to Cint, Cint is the best company in the business. Survey Monkey, not, Cint is the best. Wow, it's 104. All right, so let's take a little bit of a commercial break. We'll come back with a read. Let me help Roro get him something to drink and do what I got to do. All right, so you're watching Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. I am your host, Rich Barris, the People's Pundit, and Roro. Don't forget to like the videos, smash the like button if you like the videos, share them far and wide, and subscribe. If you are on YouTube, for instance, it would be great if you would just mosey on over to Rumble. Do the same there, and vice versa, especially on Rumble, folks, because most of our advertisers find us through Rumble. All right. So it's an enormous help when you do that. And we will vet every single one. If you go do that for us, then my promise to you is that we will vet every single one. And I will never sell you something I don't believe in. Never, ever, ever, or use myself or whatever. All right. You know the drill. All right. We're not going to turn into the Super Beat Food show. Although Field of Greens is fantastic. Our old sponsor. We still to this day. It's a daily thing in the Barris household. All right, so with that in mind, stay tuned. I'm going to take a real quick break. There'll be more when we come back. there's something else I feel like I'm missing here. There's an announcement. Oh, and locals. Duh! Best place to follow us on locals. That poll result will be out very soon. It will go out first on locals. Even the results from Robert and I, when we both agree that it's good to go ahead and release those results, they will be on locals first. So sign up to locals as a supporter. That is a great way to support the work that we do. And then you will see the little hands there up in the air saying support our polls. When you click on it, you can give what you can give, or you could just go there, share it far and wide to help us build that contributor base. We're getting really close. The election is going to fly right up on us. It will happen fast. So we really, really need to get on the ball with this. Push it, push it, push it, push it, push it. All right. All right. Boom. I think that's it. But, behind the numbers before we take a break, let me just show you this again. Maybe I should leave this up throughout the whole commercial break. Really says it all, doesn't it? All right, stay tuned. We'll be back more in about a minute and a half. Right? How good are those, right? So good, right? So good. Here's these crackers. Maybe you guys know these crackers. They're so good. I found them I found them everywhere. Publix, Teeter, wherever you go, whatever state you're in. Oh, they're so good. Like so light and so wafery. I'll show you them later, but like they got rosemary, sea salt, cracked pepper. God, Rover loves these crackers. Everybody does. Who doesn't? My God. I'll show them to you in a bit, but I don't know how I always like trying different things. And I saw them buy one, get one free at the area where there's always cheeses and stuff in Publix. You know what I'm talking about. By the cold cut section. And I'm like, oh, that looks good, So I grabbed them and ooh-wee, now it's a staple. So good, so good. All right, what am I missing here? I think that's it. Oh, don't forget, it is Friday. So, obviously I'm going to grab questions first that I see in the tip thing on locals, the Rambo Rants, the YouTube chats, but the YouTube, super chats. But I will try, of course, to get to other questions as well. Without Laura here, it's awfully tough. It really is. Hey, Rich, how many people did you interview for the poll you did with Barnes in the 1776 Law Center? That's a great question. We interviewed about 2,000 people. All right. A little bit over, it looks like. Yep. So it's a nice sample poll. It's a nice. What is the Emerson College poll, by the way? Let's go down. I don't like the 1,000s. It's 1,100. Listen, I'm telling you, you take a poll to 2,000 at least. You take a poll, if you can, you got it in your budget, to 3,000 and something. I think it's a total peace of mind for me. This was a very representative poll. Just so you guys know, both were. The raw, the one we did is a little bit bigger. No, it's actually really, really close. But it's a little bit bigger. Everything came back almost perfectly. And one thing that jumped out at me is the South is growing as a share of the vote. And so is non-urban vote. And I would say, Okay, we're going to start to reflect more of what you'll see if you look up AP Vocast or something. The Census Bureau changed the definition of urban areas to basically shrink them. So it's what we would now consider a metro suburb. They consider more urban. Some of the crazy, like you would never go to these small cities and say, oh, this is an urban area. And when voters self-report it, they wouldn't either. So that's why you may see in our poll what looks to be a smaller share of urban vote. There are more people who are moving to not metro suburbs either. They're like borderline small town suburbs, which you could kind of throw in the rural category. That's where the population is going now. Urban areas are shrinking, and there's only a few that are growing. And even among those, like what we think to be urban in Phoenix is a great example. A lot of that population growth now, more recently, is actually not in downtown Phoenix, although Maricopa's growing, it has been growing for a long time. It's like some of these areas that were totally rural and barren, are becoming more populated. So we're seeing that in the polls. Also, the registered voter, we don't wait for party. We don't. I say this a million times, but we don't. The electorate changes, and party affiliation is fluid. Party registration is more static. We don't wait for party because it's like, what the hell would you wait it against? How do you know? Okay, 2020 vote? Okay, that's great because the 2020 party vote was different than the 2016 vote. So if you were polling in 2020 and you were like, well, I guess I'll wait for party based on the 2016 exit polls, you would be wrong. So it's a major debate in the polling industry. I'm on the right side of that debate. Always believed I was. You don't wait for a party. Anyway, what does that mean? It means that that's going to fluctuate then month to month. The electorate is getting more Republican. The independent vote looks closer in our poll only because there are more Republicans. So what I think is happening, these people really are traditionally independents and they're being cannibalized, meaning when we ask them what they are saying they're Republican. And it makes sense when you look at some of these registration trends that take longer than affiliation, they lag. And we're seeing it kind of back it up later in places like Pennsylvania, which we showed you, North Carolina, obviously Florida, obviously, right? I think that Trump has made being a Republican, if not cool again, then he made it okay. And especially for a lot of younger people. And especially for people who are non-white. Like, they're not as afraid anymore to say, I am for Donald Trump. They're not. There's another clip. Oh my God, how could I have missed this clip? Lordy. You know what? It's Freewheeling Friday. I can do whatever the heck I want. Here's another clip from the Bronx rally. This one's from the New York Post, I believe, right? Or no. Today News, Africa. That's what it's from. Okay, cool. Whatever. Let's pull it up and let's listen to it because I think we should listen. And I'll try to find even more. Let's back it up a bit. There we go.
Say is that we absolutely must take our country back. And look at this crowd of people, a diverse group of people. But what ties us all together is our love of country. And we have so many people here that escaped from communist countries. I'm a descendant of slaves. My people fought so hard. They fought in World War II, even when they had no more rights. My father was a drill instructor in the United States Marine Corps during the Korean War era. I have to stand up for my country. This is a beautiful and great country, and we have to stand up and save it right now.
All right, yeah.
Go for America. Let's go. We must.
All right, look. What are you going to tell her? She's wrong? Oh, look, they have our graphics. They do. You think I'm kidding? I have that one. It's just different. Watch. Same thing. They use the same graphic designer. That's funny. And there's more. I mean, there's a ton. The turnout was big. It was. And for an urban area, I'm telling you, I don't know another Republican that would be able to pull this off. Can anybody for a second think of another Republican candidate who would be able to do this? Honestly, think it through for a second. Don't just spout it out. Seriously, put some thought to it. Anyone who ran either in 2024, 2024. Anyone who challenged Trump in 2020, Joe Walsh, you kidding me? Anybody in 2016? Of course not. No way. Absolutely no way. All right, this is a clip from the Trump campaign itself, but I think it's worth noting. This is now the second time we've seen a spotlight like this in a blue stronghold where somebody comes up on the stage, prominent figure, all right, and has a prominent moment. Whoops. Sorry about that. All right, let's let it roll.
President Trump. Oh, man. One thing I want to say. One thing I want to say, they always gonna whisper your accomplishments and shout your failures. Trump gonna shout the wins for all of us.
What the hell is going on in our country right now? What on earth is happening? Hey, let's bring up this clip, right? Hey, Rich, what Donald Trump managed to pull off in the Bronx yesterday was incredible. Everyone of color packed out a 3,500 capacity park to the point that was overflow down the street. I love this city. I'll tell you what, this is Laura's backyard. This is my wife's backyard. I had family who lived in the Bronx years and years and years ago when it was like Italian Hell's Kitchen. You know, what's that movie? A stupid kid, the star of the movie, wound up going to prison. Hey, we all make bad decisions. Drugs. Trust me, you don't have to tell me. Drugs to turn you into a different person. Forgot the name of that movie, but you know what I'm talking about. The mob movie. Sonny and right? And C, right? There's still a big love for the city in my heart too, crew. It breaks my heart when I look at it though and what's going on. And now like my uncle was the last one of the immediate family to flee, and he lived in Queens last. He went to Queens in a last-ditch effort to try to, salvage his New Yorker status. Was a superintendent there for many years. Wrote the curriculum for the 5 boroughs for many years. Was asked to run for state senate, didn't. And it's a shame because maybe it would have been someone other than Rick Lazio taking on Hillary Clinton after Giuliani refused to do so. And he's a brilliant guy, very articulate, new age Republican, well ahead of his time. Although he is someone who's like, I wish Trump wouldn't tweet as much, but there's no way he's not voting for Donald Trump kind of guy. Especially now. Maybe back years ago, they could have convinced him if they ran someone other than Hillary or now Joe Biden. I mean, he was never going to vote for somebody who's not mentally competent. He's a very intelligent guy. You're not getting it past him that Joe Biden's gone. His brain is gone. He's gone. So there you have it. I mean, I still have love for the city myself. I really do. It's not the same place, but something's happening here, folks. Something is happening. I don't know how you could deny this. I just gave you 4 minutes to figure out another Republican candidate you could mention who ran in the last couple. I haven't seen I haven't seen any suggestion yet. Forget about a good one. Yeah, interesting dynamics of these rappers endorsing. And then you have these aging white rockers who are sticking with Biden. What a great comment, Spinnaker. What a great comment. You have these young, youthful black rappers and Hispanic rappers endorsing Trump. And then you have these aging, once upon a time, I pretended to Rage Against the Machine, white privileged rockers that are like way past their prime, still endorsing and sticking by Biden. And by the way, I know a guitarist, a very well-known guitarist, some people would say he's the best in the world, is absolutely going to vote for Donald Trump. Absolutely. He may not publicly say it, and he's given a lot of comments in the past in support of Democrats, but he's voting for Donald Trump this time. I know somebody who's very good friends with him, and he is voting for Donald Trump, hands down. So what a great observation, Spinnaker. You have the Bruce Springsteens, the Bon Jovis, right? They're sticking by Joe Biden, and they just look like total sellout losers. Like, same thing with the entertainment industry. You have black comedians, non-white comedians, Hispanic younger comedians that are all about roasting Joe Biden, propping up Trump in the pop culture. And then you have aging white, past their prime losers like Howard Stern, who are total sellouts. Howard Stern is a total sellout. That guy survived by stabbing his listeners in the back and becoming the very thing that he claimed to loathe in the 80s and the 90s, most of the 90s. He's a scumbag. Sticking with Biden. You know, I mean, it's just such a stark contrast. What a great point. I didn't even I looked at it. Amber Rose, another one. I just don't I knew but I never really looked at it that way, Spinnaker. What a really like I obviously recognized it. But I just didn't look at it the way you just put it. Like, why is this happening? Well, I think there's an answer for that. You still have a group of people, being the younger, non-white entertainment industry people, who are dealing with the machine the way that those other old aging white rock stars used to claim they were dealing with it, when in truth they were totally full of crap. It was totally full of it. Never, I mean, some of them were obviously, working class. John Bon Jovi used to go into the roadside diner. Even when he was Bon Jovi, he did. He would go to the roadside diner. How do I know? My old man. And he'd say, by the way, the cover of Crossroads, the roadside diner. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, New Jersey. You have Bruce Springsteen, his bulldog rebel back in the day, used to bring to get groomed. So he was working class for a while. They both grew up kind of like that, but I don't know where Richie Sambora stands on this. The guitarist for Bon Jovi, I don't know where he stands. I met him in Musician's Friend, I think it was, in Route 9 in Freehold Township, New Jersey. My friend Jim used to work there, and he was reading this magazine, and we're sitting in there, and I'm just kind of playing around with guitars. And he had this incredible 67 Stratocaster that was like one of a kind, and it was his baby. And Sambora walks in admiring the Stratocaster, and Jim is like, not picking his head up, and he's just looking in this magazine, and he's like, hey man, nice Strat, can I pick it up and touch it? And Jim's like, no one touches the Strat but me, bro. No, buddy, get off, hands off, buddy. And I'm like, Jim, pick your head up, it's Richie Sambora. No kidding, no joke. And he did, and then he let him play it, and Richie just spanked all over that 67. It was amazing. But I don't know where he stands on that, because Richie strikes me as a guy who still he held his roots better than John Bon Jovi did. So I don't know. But what a great observation. All right, let's listen to the last couple, 10 seconds, 12 seconds.
Make America great again.
What the hell is going on in this country? What is going on? It's Freewheeling Friday. Let's just laugh about it. What is going on? Oh my God. What's Trump's number today with in Robert's poll against? Oh man, I don't want to give away too much. I really don't, but I just wonder, because we only did the larger ballots, I wonder if the head-to-head Trump does better. That's already, I'm just telling you, it's impressive. Very impressive in the poll we did with Robert. What about the other one that has the head-to-head? Bear with me. Where's race? There it is. Let me go down. Almost identical. Only probably a little bit more impressive because it's head-to-head. It's a little bit higher in the poll we did for Robert. A little bit. You'll see. Wow, that's weird. What about with leaners? Did I put leaners in here yet? I did not. All right. But I will. So we'll get back to it and look at it. I did when it comes to the one we're releasing Robert, though, with leaners. Does it go much higher? Let me see. Well, that's ethnicity. You got to put ethnicity in there too, see what's going on. It goes about a point higher with leaners. So Donald Trump is on track to get the largest share of non-white vote for any Republican candidate since Richard Milhouse Nixon. And I think we need to start at least exploring the possibility that he exceeds Nixon slightly. I'm not kidding. What the hell? Nixon didn't have this. Nixon didn't have pop culture on his side. Right? I don't know, man. I mean, I didn't poll back then. I wasn't alive. You know, what can I tell you? Fox News clip. Right. That's right. I wanted that one too. I mean, it's like I said, it's Freewheeling Friday. Let's just have fun. We went over the polls. We did what we did. If you guys got questions, I'll look at them in the chat. And we'll go kind of in and out here. But listen, if you don't know, AOC, who represents this area, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, had some not so nice, rather sharp words for Donald Trump holding the rally in the Bronx. And Fox News walked around, went on the street, did the person on the street thing, and asked voters what they thought about that. And let's get it. Let's hear their response.
Where are you from?
The Bronx, actually.
I'm originally from the Bronx and from New York.
I'm from the Bronx.
Right here in the Bronx, New York. This is home, right here. AOC says if you're not a Democrat, you don't belong here in the Bronx. Right. What do you say? I disagree with that.
I don't think she should be here in the Bronx. I actually don't know any Democrats living in the Bronx.
Look, AOC, look at this.
Look, Laura, you got a twin out there.
Tremendous support for Mr. Donald J. Trump. You need to tell her that she need to stay out the Bronx because look at all the people around. Everybody's here for Trump. I am a Democrat, and I belong here. And who are you voting for? Donald J. Trump. What has AOC done for the Bronx?
She's done nothing for the Bronx. Nothing. Nothing's changed. Nothing's gotten any better.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Let her come to the Bronx and let her come among us people that struggle. She doesn't even know what struggle is.
Where are you?
Yo, okay. For people who don't know, AOC ain't from the Bronx. Okay. All right. Her whole story is fake. You know, the businesses she owned, that was her bio was the fakest page I've ever seen for a politician, and yet she was never vetted. And just kind of sailed through with the, you know, the letter after her last name. Obviously, in primaries, you're going to have the most left-wing voters out there go and vote. And that's, you know, Democratic area. So she's been able to hang on there. But AOC is not Jenny from the block. AOC is Jenny from more like White Plains. Okay. She is from a very wealthy, largely white suburb. All right. Out in New York, that is so far removed from where these people live. It's not even funny. All right. It's unbelievable. AOC is one of the biggest failures to vet that we have seen in modern media. And there's been some real doozies. Yeah, obviously Barack Obama being one of them. Some of his ties were super uber radical, and they just chose to help him cover it up. But at least with him, it wasn't totally fake. AOC's entire biography on her website was like 90% fake. None of it was true. And the persona that she created is not true. And yet media just let her get away with it. It's unbelievable. It's truly unbelievable. I don't know, folks. I don't know what's happening here. I'm telling you, something's happening here. Something is most definitely happening here. All right, let's see. Let's go to locals. Let's go to locals and see what we got over at locals. Dan. Rich, I know you think Trump should have gotten better terms in the debate. I do. And what the hell just happened to your thing? Hold on. I lost your thing. There it is. I do. But didn't his vow to debate anywhere, anytime sort of box him in? That's a good point, Dan. And doesn't going into a rigged setup potentially add to his aura as the guy who marches into the lion's den? Great observation and great question, Stan, because that's the way they feel about it. That this will just further help him paint the election in the light that he wants to paint it. And that's fine. But again, I just have a differing view. Maybe that, I guess two things can be true at the same time is where I'm going with this, Stan. I just have a different view that he really didn't need to, and he did not need to level that kind of a challenge. He's ahead. Joe Biden's the only one who's got something to gain here. He put himself in a position where all he has is something to lose. In my position, doesn't mean he's going to lose. It's just, I don't know how much he can gain. These moderators are activists. These are Democratic activists. These are not even journalists. Like, this is not the era of Jim Lehrer and the League of Women Voters hosting a debate between Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Carter. Like, we're so far beyond that now. This is a rigged system, 100%. I just don't see why he would have put himself through it. And then to accept the condition of no crowd, it to me is just like, why? Why would you do that? Let people, before you agree, let people understand what Joe Biden is asking. Let people understand that Joe Biden wants that rig. So you could have got the benefit of that, Dan, without actually doing and agreeing to it. You still could have gotten the benefit because Joe Biden in the White House would have defended why they can't come to terms. What is it? What is this? Even if you were to agree to the rig system with the networks and everything and the commission and whatnot, not the crowd, and then take the politically advantageous road. And I wouldn't say less follow because he's been doing a really good job. There's no doubt. Trump's campaign is a different campaign. Yes, buddy. Oh, it's geometry. What on earth are you doing geometry for? Yep, give me 1 second. Let me just answer this question, okay? I think that it is, you could have gotten the advantages politically without agreeing to it, Dan. I see what you're saying, and I see what everyone's talking about. I just don't think that it was absolutely positively necessary. Oh, by the way, Nikki Haley was on CBS. They were talking about the Trump rally, and Nikki Haley, her decision to say that she would in fact vote for Donald Trump, which is, something that she was supposed to have said a long time ago. All right. So before we get back to it, I'm going to play another clip while I help Rovero with a geometry question, but this is a good one. So what's his name from Hannity's interview dude from Fox News caught up with Trump in the Bronx and asked him a couple of questions. And this is a cool interview. You should listen to it. Okay.
You're pulling something off there. I've been begging Republicans, come to the black community, come to the Hispanic community. More people that were here today look more like me than you. Why did you come here today?
Well, because I've done very well with the vote. I love the people. They're incredible. They're energetic. They're entrepreneurial, and they're going to save New York. And we're going to win New York. And if we win New York, the election's over. We take over the country. We take over the country.
You think you're going to win?
I think we have a chance to win New York. It hasn't been done in many, many decades. As a Republican, I think we have a very good chance. So if you see the crowd, nobody's ever seen.
Why do they like you better than any other Republican in modern time?
Well, you have to ask the other Republicans.
Sorry, I'm muting myself so I could help Roro. But he says, I've been begging other Republicans. I've been begging them, and then he said, why do they like you more than they like any other Republican in modern times? Well, before they turned Trump into a monster, he was a pop culture icon. Rappers, were, rapping about him. And obviously it's like, I want to be Trump. I want to have my name in gold. I want fat stacks. I want women. I want beautiful women. I want to be Trump. I want my name in gold. I want my tower. I want a Borgata, man. I want something like that. I want a Trump tower. I want a Trump or, whatever, was called in Atlantic City at the time. So then they turned him into this monster. And you can read from the WikiLeaks email drops that John Podesta and his buddy, who is an academic, they were very concerned about Trump's image with non-white voters in pop culture. They were terrified of it. And what was their answer? We got to make him into a racist. And then, of course, we all know the communications back and forth between them and the media. They did help them do exactly that. One hoax after the other. All Mexicans are racists. The very fine people hoax. So they turned him into something that he wasn't viewed as before. And now it's like, for so many, and more than, like I said, potentially more than voted for Richard Nixon, that veil has fallen. It's dropped. It's off, and they no longer believe it. And they also prosecuted him. They went after him the way that they know what it's like to be persecuted. They made him relatable. Do I have to play that focus group in Georgia again? They made him relatable. Mitt Romney's not relatable. Ron DeSantis, with his Ivy League education, he's not relatable. And that's no dig. It's just the truth. Nikki Haley with her fake black friends she doesn't have, that is not relatable. Even George Bush with a grandpappy named Prescott, that is not relatable. So, maybe some of this is just a little way going back. You know what I mean? Maybe this is just a little one, a rehatching of the view they already had of him, and that the media lies are just gone now. And believe me, some white woman going on MSNBC and lecturing the way that first twit did that we played in the clip, that ain't going to work. I actually, listen, if you're a Trump voter, if you're a Trump supporter, you want MSNBC and CNN and NBC and ABC, the Washington Post, the New York Times. You want them to keep parading these privileged white women in front of the camera, on the front page, telling black and brown people how stupid they are for not knowing Donald Trump is a racist. By God, please do that. Continue to do that. Right, and Matthew, really good point. Nixon did not have, not just Hispanics, Nixon did not have this much of a non-white electorate. The electorate was much whiter. Much whiter. All right, let's go back to finish this clip here.
Just saying, you see black support going up with you, Hispanic, young people. Like I said, the people look more like me than you, and they say you're different. Why?
Because I did things in office that nobody else has done. Criminal justice reform. I did criminal justice.
That's a big deal. I'll tell you right now. Snoop Dogg, Snoop, for him, it was criminal justice. He personally pardoned his boy from Death Row Records. And now it's the suffering, in combination with that and the suffering of the black community. So together, that's what pushed Snoop over the edge. This is a guy who wrote a song, F Donald Trump, so things have changed. How things have changed.
Reform at a level that nobody thought was possible to get. And I did that largely for the black and Hispanic community. They're the ones that wanted it. Opportunity zones with Tim Scott. And he was so much in favor of it. And it's probably maybe the best economic development package ever for African Americans, for Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans. We did a lot of things that people couldn't believe we were able to get done.
Nikki Haley said today that she's going to vote for you. It looks like the Republican Party is coming together.
We just looked at the poll and we can clearly see that the Republican Party is coming together quicker for Donald Trump than the Democratic Party is coming together for Joe Biden. That's not even a matter of debate. That is the case. Every poll shows it. Let me just say this. Some of the economic stuff that he was talking about there, it just doesn't matter if that's alone in a vacuum. It is absolutely true with the economic development projects, the opportunity zones. There were the best numbers for black and brown Americans in the labor force we had ever seen. there were huge bumps in startups for Black Americans and Hispanic Americans. There were all-time lows with unemployment for both Hispanic and African Americans. So he had that before. He had that. And it wasn't enough. So my point is that obviously is part of it because he did better with them, right? He didn't do as well as he's doing now, but he did better with them. So that's obviously going to help somewhat, but I don't think that's it in total. You need the cultural element of this. You need the relatability part of this. You absolutely need time to move on to. The more time, the better. Because when I keep saying this, since Richard Nixon, what I'm really saying is Donald Trump is about to do better with non-whites than any Republican candidate has done since the passage of the Civil Rights Act. The civil rights memory, if you will, whatever you want to call it, that has to go. That has to go. So the longer it has been, the more memories will fade. And that is what reduces the social pressure and the social stigma about voting for, a member of a party that's been associated with being anti-civil rights. I'm not saying it's true or it's fair. I'm saying that's the history that's been written. Donald Trump, by the way, was never that guy. The New York Times once made him the quote of the day for denouncing the Reform Party and David Duke for allowing them into that movement because he had been such a big proponent of the Reform Party under Perot and others for years. And then when Buchanan refused to distance himself from some figures like David Duke and others, then he condemned the Reform Party. And it was the New York Times quote of the day. They praised him. He was so forward thinking. He's so progressive. Wow. Again, how times have changed. What happened between then and now, or then in 16? Time. People forgot. Memories faded. That Donald Trump used to be somebody that Al Sharpton could call up and beg for money, and Donald Trump would give it to him. Who Jesse Jackson recognized did so much for the Black community, he gave him an award from the Rainbow Coalition. Time. And now that very thing is working against Democrats. All right, let's finish up the clip. It is 1:43. I probably will end a little early dealing with the 4-year-old, and I want to get this poll up on Locals. Again, don't forget, peoplespundit.locals.com. Go sign up. Go become a supporter. peoplespundit.locals.com.
Yeah, I think it is coming together. I think it's come together for a long time. You have to understand, we did the nomination process the fastest in history. If somebody else were running, they'd still be running for another month in order to get the nomination. We did it 2 months ago. But the party is together. I appreciate what she said. The party is together, and I think we're going to have a tremendous.
We saw it early in the diners. I would go to the diners, and they said they wanted Trump because of the Trump economy, the border being secured. Is this going to be a record election? You say that.
That's another thing. Hold on. I got to say, and I want to stop before he gets into that question. Is this going to be a record election? Immigration specifically to, and you would think, that, and it's been the media narrative forever that Hispanics are dead. They love illegal immigration. They do not. They absolutely do not. They don't want some of their family to be mistreated or something. And they don't want it to be extra hard for them to come over if they do it the right way. But they do not want people making them look bad, being bad, poor reflection on them when they did do it the right way. And then when it comes to Black voters, I cannot tell you how much we hear that Democrats have sold them out, have sold their children out. You know, the putting of overflow into black schools in urban America. You know, it's like, what the hell? They're the ones who got to pay for it. It's the social service system is going to be overburdened. But guess what? It's not going to be the white Democrat, rich liberal who's going to feel it, not in their gated community, not in their kids' private schools. It's our schools that they're going to ruin. It's our health care that they're going to ruin. It's our medicine that they're going to bankrupt, right? So that they're going to see shortages of, right? And I can go on and on and on. We hear it every poll we do, especially from black mothers, because people have focused so much on the men. You will see again in this poll, it is not just men. It's not. And it's huge when we go by education by race. And you look at the numbers now, you're going to be, that's a really hard pill to swallow. Right. Until you look back and see, well, who did they vote for? Non-white, non-college, 62-34 in our most recent poll. That's it. 62-34. Now it leaners. Trump is already meeting or exceeding his 2020 marks with them. So they're telling you, I did vote for Joe Biden. I did. I'm not going to this time. And they're not just men. It's not just men.
There has to be undisputed win at this time.
Well, I won't forget you at the diner, because when somebody else would blurt out, well, Nikki's doing well, or Ron's doing well, or somebody else, and you'd say, that's not what I'm seeing out here. And then you'd go and it was all Trump.
He likes the diner.
It was all Trump. You remember what he's talking about. We all know what he's talking about. The friggin' attempt by Fox News, by Murdoch Inc. to get either Ron DeSantis or to get Nikki Haley competitive, or, you know, hell, to even help them and give them free unearned media. He would go to these diners, and there would be all this talk in Iowa about how Ron DeSantis has 60,000 commitment cards, right? Nikki Haley is surging in South Carolina, and he'd be like, "What are you talking about? We're going around Florida diners, Jersey diners, New York diners, Pennsylvania diners, New Hampshire diners, South Carolina." And he's like, "What are you talking about? What you guys are saying on that couch does not reflect what is going on here right now." There are tons of these videos. I got to tell you, tons of these videos. There's a rap going on at this rally for Trump in the Bronx. It's just unbelievable. You know what? Can we get the rally video? We can, right? I can. Hold on one second. I mean, the rap video. I kid you not. Watch it. Watch this. Are you ready? Check this out.
I stand with Trump. I stand with Trump. United we stand, divided we fall. Indict our president, you better indict us all. United we stand.
Did you hear that? You indict a president, you better indict us all. You guys remember the video that they put out? I put it on Locals. I was like, oh my God, what the hell is going on here? It was like one of the first indications that there was really something going on. Right. That line, I really think says a lot. When I first started saying this, there was no shortage of white right-wing pundits like, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous. All right. And how much time have you clocked in an American ghetto? Because I don't think you've spent one damn second of your life listening to the experiences of these people. That line says a lot. Let's finish.
I came in the right way. Come on, take the motherfucker reporters. Made us in the league until Pino was a head stage. Cold demons better know they dying young. I'm riding around Miami, getting chauffeured in the dawn. Yeah, I'm going there, let's get along. United we stand, because together we're strong. Yeah, trying to stand on me. Hey, back up, son. Back up a little bit.
I don't know what is unclear about those lyrics. What is so unclear? And who is that? Matt or Nika put that up there. That was a great clip. That was a great comment to highlight. I don't know what's unclear about those lyrics. Maybe they're not, like, it's not your genre and it's not that easy to understand for you, but it's pretty damn easy. You know? Right. So he actually said exactly what Nico put in the thing. I came here the right way. I came here the right way. You indict a president, you indict us all. Trump, this is a no-brainer. You better schedule more of these. Because here's the kicker. The Rauner effect. Right, Robo? The Rauner effect. I guarantee. That's right. Give me pounds. Boom, boom. Bang. That's right. It totally is. Better figure it out the right way, right? I'm telling you, the Rauner effect. You do better in urban areas, you're going to do better in some of these metro suburbs. Not all of them. Not all of them. But it will become cool. Like, wait a minute. Sing about it. Show everybody your beautiful angelic voice. Yeah. Yeah. Roro's quite the dancer too. Telling you. I don't know what else to say other than that. Let me just make sure I don't miss anything here. All right, folks, listen, stay tuned to locals. All right. Stay tuned to locals. Crosstabs shortly. Robert and I will go over the poll exclusive for the 1776 Law Center on a special show on Monday, same time. All right, because he said he's flexible, so I'm saying same time. And it is filled with juicy nuggets. I will put up the head-to-head that we did very soon. And that's all there is to it. Don't forget, if you like the videos, like them, share them far and wide. The public polling project as well. When you get to locals and you sign up, peoplespundit.locals.com, you're going to see in the top right in the bar, especially if you're on like a laptop or a desktop, but either way, you won't see it on the app. If you download the app, it's not there. But you could always go to Big Data Poll to find it. You will see a little hand thing, but for the polls, help us with the polls. Share it on your social media. Share it far and wide. Contribute what you can if you can, but let's build a contributor base so the burden is less on all of us. All right. What else? Well, hell, I think that's it. Book Club Sunday, Eastern Standard Time. I don't think there's anything going on this Sunday, right? Memorial Day is not, obviously, it's always a Monday. Yeah, I think we're good to go for it. So Sunday, Eastern Standard Time, we will have eventually the authors of the book on. Troy Olson and Gavin Wax will come on to the book club and answer questions for us, which is awesome that they are willing to do that. And we have to get through it first, right? So keep an eye on locals, and I'll build a map too. I'll put the map up first. I haven't gotten a chance to do that yet. Super easy. I already put it the data set, uploaded it to MarketSite, and also created the crosstabs. But I'll hook it in with a webhook into the spreadsheet data set so we can look at who's got the support they have where. Very representative poll. I mean, very illuminating poll too when we dig into some of those questions, which we will. And the bottom line is, I think Joe Biden's major problem is that so many people, including demographics that he just simply cannot afford to lose, that are traditional demographics, believe that Donald Trump is a better president than him. And then you have these peripheral things going on, which you just heard. Folks, Andrew Breitbart, politics runs what? Downstream from culture. You hear what they're saying. You got to listen to it. People would be wise to listen to it. They'd be foolish to ignore it because it's in the polling. You can see it. All right. I am Rich Paris, the People's Pundit. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, share far and wide, like the video, subscribe to the channels. Thank you to Freedom Gold USA, Jam and Bean. They're all down there in the link below. Don't forget to support them. They support us, and we will see you on Sunday. Thanks for watching, folks. Be safe. Have a safe weekend. Don't do anything crazy. Don't do anything that I would do. Deuces.